So, for my critical essay, I based an argument on David Walker's appeal through the social aspect, through a social nature. And what I mean by that is that in society during the 1800s and during that time, when the appeal was released and published in 1829, slavery was obviously still going on, and it was very prominent in society back then. So, David Walker, who was born a free man, he completely didn't have to go through slavery. He was able to move around and do whatever he wanted, but still there were some restrictions on what he could do because he was black and he was going to be oppressed no matter what. So for free blacks, there was still some type of restrictions. Even so, he didn't have to face the horrors of slavery and face having to possibly die because they were born into something that they couldn't control at the time. So my argument was pretty much saying it was a rebuttal to him trying to get the slaves during that time to revolt against their slave masters and really just try to open up their eyes and try to see, like, are they fine with being in the same spot? Are they fine with being in the same place as they are right now, or do they want to find better for themselves? Do they want to find freedom? And I said freedom isn't really free. Well, I didn't really say it, but it was just what I got from it and how I interpret it is that freedom isn't really free for them. So during that time, even if he wanted the free blacks to migrate other places and get out of the South, because it was based in the South, and try to go to Africa, during that time, the the Central African slave trade. This is my visual aid. It was just a little picture that I drew of slaves still being traded from Africa to the Americas in 1856, I think. That's where I got the picture from. So, even so, it would still be hard for those slaves to, get that freedom in the first place. I don't think that he made a certain statement along the line saying that asking black men, are they feeling fine? Just are they doing fine? Just feeling as though they are hopeless and they aren't able to lead their family. And even so, they're separate from their family, and their slave masters are taking away their importance as a man and taking away that part of their manlyhood. So during that time, I would have to say that even though David Walker didn't experience slavery, he still couldn't make it seem as though him being a free man, that all the slaves or a majority of the slaves in the South were able to just revolt. Because the appeal was when the appeal was published in 1829, even though it sparked paranoia and questions amongst the white community, it didn't really bring forth a certain revolt of the slaves. It instilled that pride, but at the end of the day, he wasn't able to get the slaves to revolt. And at the end of the day, he was a militant voice and he was an activist as well. And he wanted to abolish slavery. And he was really courageous for making the appeal in the first place. But at the end of the day, through a societal standpoint, it wasn't going to be that easy trying to get free slaves or even the enslaved, trying to get them to revolt or try to migrate to different places, because it would be hard for them regardless, because they were getting captured and traded in big groups, even either taking boats or either taking different forms of transportation to get them to other slave masters. So no matter what, they were going to be oppressed. So in my paper, I made key points of how he has changed how people view themselves, how blacks view themselves, and how they have taken on leadership roles in today's society. Leaders like Malcolm X, who was also a militant voice, and Martin Luther King, and even Martin Delany. And Martin Delany was also during that time, who wanted to abolish slavery and wanted to speak out against injustices against black people. And even Barack Obama, who was the 44th president of the United States, he was in a big leadership position to make big changes for America, and he did a really good job doing so. So he has inspired and changed a lot of how black people see themselves now, because we're able to make protests, the Black Lives Matter movement, and to just speak out against racial injustices throughout America. So David Walker has had a very big impact on how black people view themselves, and empowering black people as well.